Hey, it's Tom. Thank you so much for joining me for another tutorial. Today we're going to use one of my favorite Photoshop plugins for creative edits, and that's ON1 Effects. So be sure to use my link below. That will take you to on1.com and let you save 20% off anything. But you can just do a free trial as well. The product we're looking at today is ON1 Effects. And for just $35, you're going to receive over 30 filters that are super easy to use. So you can get the full version of ON1, has everything for just $50. The plugin we're looking at today is the effects, and I'll go into a little bit more later. That's why if you're using Photoshop already, this really is all you need. And for that price, you own it outright. It's not subscription based. So right now we are in Lightroom. And this is the cloud version, not Lightroom Classic, but it will work with either. And if you just use Photoshop and Adobe Bridge, it will work as well. So I was asked by Admire Talent to do this photo shoot for them. I love working with Ayana and her incredibly talented team. They always come up with great photo shoots. Today's model is Kastle, and she did a phenomenal job. I'm going to do Option or Alt C, so we're in the compare mode, so you can kind of see a before and after. But before we get into the creative edit part, let's talk about the shoot. We were in a very small office, and this was the lobby, so not much shooting space. But that didn't stop us from getting some amazing images. The lighting was super simple. I was using the Godox 8200 in a Glow Easy Lock Silver 34-inch beauty dish. Their beauty dish is basically a softbox. We could have gotten a very similar look with a speed light and a white umbrella. Camera, I was using my older Canon RP. It's perfect for studio use. And I was using a very inexpensive 85mm lens. It's the older EF 85 1.8. It is a super sharp lens. So even though it's inexpensive, being a prime lens, it's very sharp. For the shoot, I was using a shutter speed of 1/125, f-stop 6.3, and ISO 400. I believe the flash was set at 16th power. That really doesn't matter. If I was using a speed light, it probably would have been more closer to 1/4 power. And that would still allow a very fast recycle time. So the light was just camera left. That's what's giving the little shadow on the side. Kastle was about a foot or two off of the wall. So before we get into the creative edit, let me just show you a couple things I did in Lightroom. That was first to remove the couch, remove a little whites back here. I smoothed out her sweater, removed a bracelet that was catching the light, removed a little bit of hair, and removed a strand of hair on her arm. The only retouching to the image was slightly to enhance the eyes, the eyebrows, and the lipstick. And again, all that was done in Lightroom. If you are interested in the retouching aspect, leave a comment and we can do tutorials on that as well. But today's tutorial is on the creative edit. So let's select the image, right click on it, go to edit in Photoshop. Normally, if I was just starting out an image, I would open it as a smart object, but since we're working on the layer TIFF image, we'll just edit in Photoshop. So here is the edited image, but we're going to take it back a few steps. First, let's just get rid of this layer. And now we just have the basic retouching I did. Layer 1 is just to remove the strand of hair, the hair up top of her head, the wrinkles in the sweater arm, and the chair down below. And then if we take a look at the camera raw filter, I just enhance the eyes slightly, eyebrows, the lips, and brighten the image just a touch. Command or Control 0 brings us back to the full frame. So now that we have all the basic retouching done, it's time to get into the creative edit. So let's combine all of our layers into a new stamped layer. And to do this, we use the claw in Photoshop, and that's by combining 4 keys: the Command or Control, the Option and Alt, the Shift, and the letter E. How many longtime Photoshop users have arthritis in their hand just doing this one basic step? So now we have a new layer which is a combination of all the layers below. We're going to right click on that layer and select Convert to Smart Object. This will give us the ability to use the plugin, and at any point we can make changes to any of the settings we use. So now we have the icon down here in the lower right corner letting us know that it is a smart object. Let's go to Filter, ON1, and Effects. And now the ON1 plugin opened up. I do have all the different modules, but the one that gives you the most bang for your buck is the Effects one. Because develop, you have the camera raw filter that would do everything there, which is also very similar to what you can do in the local module when you use masking. Sky would be sky replacements, and Photoshop does that now. And portrait, and all those enhancements again you can do in the camera raw filter. But Effects gives you creative control over your edits, and that's why I love using it. It has over 30 filters, and there's a few ways you can reach these. One of the easiest ways to get a one-click killer result is to show the tab on the lower left, select Presets, and find something that you'd like to do. So we could go into Perfect Portrait. Let's expand a little, and just by one click we could get any of these results. So with one click, it added a vignette, a photo filter, a glow filter, and dynamic contrast. And you can modify those. So if you wanted to change the filter type, very easy to do. So with any filter or preset you do, you can also fade the effect as well. So you can just tailor it to your liking here, or in the effects panel, you can also adjust any of the effects. So let's reset that by going to the bottom right and reset all settings. So that's one way to use presets. Another way is through filters. So we'll select the filter panel. We can take a look at, say, just LUTs. What will LUTs do? And we can take a quick look. And if we were just looking for a little pop, comfort will do that. So that is with the LUT applied. That's without the LUT. And then we can control the amount of the LUT as well. Again, I'm going to reset that. So if you're a visual learner, this is a great way to take a look at what each of the 30 plus filters is doing to your image. Once you have experience with the effects filters in ON1, you'll probably gravitate more just to the effects module and add the filters you want to use. So let's work on this image of Kastle. First thing I want to do is add some texture to that background. I love shooting on solid walls or plain paper because there's so many opportunities to edit that background. One of my favorite is using the textures filter. You can import your own textures, or there's hundreds of different textures built into ON1 Effects. I'm going to use their monochrome. Highlight that, start at the top, and you can just use your arrow key to cycle through and pick something out that you like. I like this monochrome 8, so let's select that. And then you have the ability to also change the blend mode. So we could go lighter, darker. I'm going to select normal. ON1 does also have AI masking capability, so let's go up to masking we'll select the background and we'll paint in the effect just on the background. So it did a decent job, but we can see the spots inside the arm. We'll have to work on those in just a moment. The AI masking is good, but it certainly isn't as good as Photoshop's new and improved masking capabilities. So now we took the texture off of Kastle, but we do have to work on the areas within her arms. So we're going to grab the refine brush, which is Command-Control-N. You can get that by also clicking on the icon here in the left, the brush icon, and selecting the refine brush. So we'll select paint for the mode. The method hair and branches is going to work great. Use the bracket keys just like in Photoshop, and we're going to just draw an outline of the area, and ON1 will do the rest. So now we have a great mask selection for the background. I'm going to do Command or Control plus, and that just brings us into the image. And there is just a touch of color here on the side. So if we want to keep the background to a grayscale, we'll want to just come up to the blending mode for that and select luminosity. Command or Control 0 brings us back into the image, and our first filter is applied. Next thing we're going to do is add bleach bypass. And for the style, let's take a look at darker, like what that's doing to the background as well as with Kastle. But it's a little bit strong, so let's just lower the opacity on. So that's looking really nice. Next, let's add that border. Again, just go up to Add Filter, select Borders, and ON1 has hundreds of different borders that you can apply. So that one looks awesome. But for this image, let's go into Film. Lots of different film stocks. I think I went with this one. And for the mode, screen is a great option if you're looking for something more subtle. I actually really like how that one looks. For this image, I selected multiply. And then if you scroll down a little further, there is a scale and fit. Fit changes the size of the image. I'm going to leave that how it was, but for the scale, I'm going to bring it in. It just kind of crops into the border a bit. So -2 is looking nice. If we look closely though, it did add some texture onto Kastle. So that's real easy to remove. This time under masking, let's just grab the masking brush. We want to erase. My opacity is 75%, and we'll just kind of dab over her skin areas, and we'll go once more over her face. Make sure there's no texture going over that. So that part is looking awesome. So here is the before without the border, and then again with the border. So just like that, we added 3 effects. Let's add just one more, tie it all together by adding a LUT. ON1 has some great LUTs included with the plugin, and they range in the color pop, color grading, black and white, or vintage. And even under those, you have lots of different choices. And that's looking pretty cool there. You can also upload your own LUTs just by importing them as well. For this image, I think I'm going to use Color Pop and Punch. And that's looking really nice, maybe a little bit strong, so we can always come up to the opacity of the LUT and kind of fine tune it to our liking. So just like that, we took this image from here to here, using just 4 filters within ON1 Effects. So you can easily see why I love using ON1 Effects for my creative edits. After we have the image how we like, we'll just hit the check mark and it takes us back into Photoshop. Everything is done on that layer. And since it is a smart filter, we can always go back into ON1 Effects by double clicking. And that will happen also if we save the file and reopen the file. We'll still be able to change, add, subtract, modify any of those settings that we did in ON1 Effects. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to use my link below to save 20% on ON1 Effects. If you have a comment or a question, be sure to leave it below. And until next time, keep shooting.